Are you 74,000 steps deep?
76,000.
76,000 steps deep into the Chad Challenge. I saw you buy the Rogue box. I saw you pull out the weighted vest out of storage. And then you just got this gust of wind of like, I'm going to do 1,000 Chads until 1,000 people do it. People need to know what's going on. What was the inspiration?
So I did the Chad. You mentioned we did HPLT. We missed the Chad during HPLT. I did it like a week later.
Yeah. You loved it.
I was like, this thing's awesome. Just an incredible way to get into a flow state is doing something that's relatively mundane, but just hard enough to like really keep that difficulty threshold high. It silences the mind so that I personally feel like I get into a place where like there are some deep thoughts. And so like, I love that. It's like similar to running. And so I remember that feeling of doing it. I did it twice at Collective last year and loved it. And then there was just a moment this past summer where I felt like we were in a place of transition. We had moved from our apartment to an Airbnb. I was feeling a little disjointed, and I was just like, I need to create some surface area for myself to like put some structure in place. And so, moving again to our spot that we're in now, I was like, this is beautiful. We're close to a gym that I love going to. I love morning routines. I love getting in the flow of the day and just having like 2 or 3 things to get a win in early. And I like my physical stuff early in the day. Like if there's extra work to do in the afternoon, that's great. But like I truly just think about my early morning workout as getting ready for the day. It's like putting my pants on. Like just do something that's active, that breaks a sweat, that pushes me to a point of feeling fresher than I am depleted. And I'll be I feel ready to go for the day. So the idea was really just to like start setting the new tone for a new chapter. And that like when we moved into the new spot, I was like, dude, I'm not where I want to be. It was like a lot of the stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. Not where I want to be. We've done a lot of cool stuff. We've done a lot of great stuff. So many good things coming into our lives. So many blessings to be grateful for. But I just felt like, we're both just at this point where we can truly unleash our creative energy into the things that we're doing. We are no longer like these guys who are like only a few months out of like, working these corporate jobs or doing whatever. It's like, no, dude, like we're in it. And, we have a few really cool opportunities that have just blossomed up through us putting ourselves out there more. So I was just thinking about it as a way to just, document a season of life and just try to show one of my strengths that I feel like I hope it inspires at least one person. It's inspired like I think 80 something people have done the Chad with me so far. But all I'm really hoping to do and get out of it is just inspire that nudge to just accept a challenge and go after something hard. And I think that stuff is contagious. People can say what they want, but like there's definitely people out there who see people challenging themselves and want to be a part of it. And I think it's awesome. And it's been a great ride.
It's been an amazing ride, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
We need how many more people do we need to do it, including my lazy ass?
Gotta get you to do it. I told that to someone the other day. I was like, yeah, Brett hasn't done it yet. I got to get him to do it.
No, it needs to happen.
We'll get it done.
Well, in full transparency, it's like, dude, when you started, I just didn't have the willpower to want to do it.
Yeah.
And now it's just this 30 days. And I'm not saying this is an excuse. I just started feeling so good in that routine.
Dude.
I was like, let me just press this like blackjack, but it needs to happen.
Well, that's like, I think this is actually a good lesson in like the feel that we have for each other at this point, where like I literally see the momentum that you have. And I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna, that's like going up to a pitcher who's throwing up, like you're the most dialed in I've seen you since we've started doing everything. And that's like going up to a pitcher who's throwing a perfect game and being like, yeah, you're throwing a perfect game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to distract him. You're doing your thing. And like, I just think it's so awesome that, when you're around people that are pushing you, like the energy that I feel getting home or like, dude, even just waking up and you're up, you're doing your thing. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get it done.
Totally. I think the beauty of a partnership is there's so many benefits of it, but I think one of the real beauties is like if Harry's on his game and Brett's not on his game, it allows you to pick up the slack, right? Or vice versa.
Totally.
But the real beauty of a partnership is when you have this insane velocity in the same direction, which I think this is the first time probably since we started the show where I think we're tapping into that momentum.
Yeah.
And I do think an interesting thing with you, and I didn't think about this until we started the podcast, is like that morning routine for you. And it's a very simple routine, but when you were in Boston and you started going paleo and you lost all that weight, that was a morning routine. Like there's so many different arcs of your routine that it makes so much sense where in a period of maybe disconnect a little bit, you were like, I'm going to run back towards that friction and I know what's going to fit for me and I'm going to do it a slightly different way with the Chad. And like, dude, every time we're in public, someone comes up to you and comments on it. Like, I know you like technically 80-ish people have done it, but I would say that it's probably inspired hundreds, if not thousands of people that see you from afar too.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I think that, I can look back at my own life and just like see the seasons where I've gone through some sort of change and immediately gone default mode for me, which is just like pouring into some level of like a serious routine.
Yeah.
Like when I moved to Amsterdam, I just got wired towards like early, like, and that was cool because I went from, it was a totally different lifestyle change. I was living on my own for the first time. Dude, honestly, like the first time since the beginning of college, but that was truly on my own where it was like, dude, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, what do I do with my time? So I just started getting really dialed in and it was great because it showed me who I was when I would go through those periods of flipping over to a new season. And then the same thing kind of happened when COVID hit, like when that new season of going from the office to being working from home. Like I immediately, without even literally going through much thought process, went to immediately leaning into routine and just like getting really, not obsessive, but like I don't feel like I'm being obsessive when I'm doing it. It's just like, it's such a just compounding. Like I just feel like there's momentum and I feel like there's so much life in that routine that I almost need it like the same way like food, like I'm eating food.
Yeah.
You know, it's nourishing to me.
That's really nourishing to you. It's almost like, I think obsessive is, hey, you're doing these things that are pulling away from these other buckets that maybe you should be doing, where I think the morning routine for you is additive. And it makes so much sense because if you're waking up at 4 a.m., from 4 to call it 8:30 when you're in the office, those are like God's hours. And that's Harry's time where you have 4.5 hours to work out, think, reflect, plan your day, do anything you want to do. Like you're almost like adding in extra time versus obsession of like pulling away time from maybe things that you should be doing. You think that's fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I also like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, dude, but like my thinking is like, I basically want to think that if I'm disciplined enough to wake up at 4, I've earned for the rest of my life, hopefully, I've earned like 2 hours to myself at least. And this might be, this is probably totally unrealistic once you start having kids and like that whole season of life is just kind of going to be more chaotic. But I'm at least in the back of my mind thinking I'm training so that I wake up at 4 every day for the rest of my life. So I earn those 2 hours to just do the things that are most filling for me, which is pretty simple routine, fitness and faith components. And then, you know, everything else from there is just like attacking the day, starting off with a few wins. But I want to earn that and like feel like I'm training myself for that forever.
You're buying time back.
Yeah.
Yeah.